Oh, so it is. All right.
Huh. All right.
Here we go. Another episode. Look, we weren't ready at work.
No, I'm a dumb bitch.
Forced Jargon podcast.
Wow, this is
Your
off
boys.
to a hot start.
Your boys, Adam Stone.
Josh Burnett.
Let's get in.
Yeah.
Let's get in. We're gonna speed through football this time.
I think we say this every week.
But this is gonna be real. Watch how fast we get through that first game. Rams, Raiders. Raiders are a joke. Devontae Adams, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Josh Jacobs. I feel bad for Derek Carr.
Do you think they franchise tag him at the end of the year?
Jacobs?
Yep.
We'll have to. I don't know. That's such a Raiders move, though.
They get Tom Brady.
I think you let him go.
Franchise tag him.
I would let him go personally because I don't think running backs matter. But
what's his franchise tag going to be though? 15.
Well, it's top five. So I mean, what's that?
$15 million.
Probably somewhere around there. Well, I'd have to look. It actually might be a little less because McCaffrey depends on what Barkley signs for. That'll be Rams. Baker Mayfield in 2 days beats the Raiders. I think it's cool that he get to see what he can do with the Rams. He might be a future for the Rams, maybe.
I know you hate him because he was a Panther and he stunk for the Panthers. And
I don't hate him, but
he's still one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch when he's playing well.
Okay, well, I mean, Carolina's coaching was horrible. Like they got rid of rules, so like I get it. But at the same time, as Baker Mayfield's now gone through, this is his 6th head coach and 6th offensive coordinator. Could be saying something. I don't know. I guess a weird segue is Deshaun Kaiser was talking about that the first-round quarterbacks get way more opportunities than second-round quarterbacks because he was a second-rounder. He was on a podcast talking about it.
He stunk.
Right? But I mean...
He was terrible.
But I mean, like Baker Mayfield had 2 good seasons and 2 bad seasons.
His rookie season was incredible.
He had a good rookie season, horrible second season, great third year, horrible last year. Well, he wasn't horrible last year. He wasn't good last year. Horrible this year.
Yeah.
We'll see where he ends up.
Deshaun never had anything good.
Well, yeah, right? Moving on, right? We're going to move on. Those are just 2 bad teams. Giants-Eagles. The Giants started off, 6-0, 6-1, are now 7-5-1.
Terrible.
But I feel like we've been warning the sports jargon fans here. We're like, yeah, the Giants the best way to describe them is, but. Yeah, they got a good running game, but. Yeah, they got a decent defense, but. Daniel Jones is getting the ball sort of in the end zone, but he's not good.
Yeah.
And I think watching that game was rough. Jalen Hurts, I think we're both in agreement, front runner MVP.
Yep, just give him the fucking award already.
I mean, we still got some games to go, but Daniel Jones can't make the big throws when it counts. He's got no one to throw to.
I think that's his biggest issue.
If there's a team that needs a receiver, it's the Giants. Odell, you're open.
He doesn't make bad choices. He just doesn't. I kind of agree with that. He just doesn't have anybody to throw the ball.
I mean, 6.3 yards per attempt against the Eagles. Like watching that game, it's like you knew they weren't gonna. It felt like you knew they weren't gonna score. I mean, It didn't help that they couldn't.
Oh my God, that game went to overtime.
Which game? The Lakers-Celtics. Currently watching Lakers-Celtics. Wild game.
We got some monies hopefully
monies to cash in.
Please.
I don't really know. We both like the Eagles.
Yep.
We were both very skeptical of the Giants. We'll see if the Giants make the playoffs.
Same thing I've been saying for a long time now. Eagles have the best offensive and defensive line in football. If you control the line, you're gonna win games.
Their offensive line is so good.
Jason Kelce is an anomaly.
Well, across the board, Lane Johnson. I mean, literally their whole offensive line is absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
So moving on. We're moving on. Look how quick we're going.
Yeah.
Ravens Steelers. Tyler Huntley gets hurt. But
those poor fucking Ravens.
Pittsburgh's rotted, right? I mean, Mitch Trubisky.
Well, Mitch fucking stinks.
He came in.
If it was Kenny Two Gloves, I think that.
I mean, Kenny Double Gloves gets a concussion. I think it was. I don't know if it was the second play, but it was the second. He got hurt. Only one pass attempt out. The Ravens were like, "Hey, you know what? We're just not going to throw the ball. We're just going to run it." And then Huntley gets hurt. Their quarterback, so they're now down to Anthony Brown as their starter. Looks like. I don't know if they've ruled him out yet, but it doesn't look good for him to play.
Lamar doesn't look like he's going to play.
And I'll tell you what, the Steelers are just hoping they lose for draft position at this point. Boy, do they need a defense and offensive line upgrade badly.
Who would have thought we'd be saying that with fucking
Watt and the boys, but look, you know what though too is like Watt's an elite player, but when they're chunking you for 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards,
and all you got to do in those kind of situations is just run away from them.
Right, run away from them, chip them, whatever. So yeah, again, the Ravens are keeping pace with the Bengals. They do have a relatively easy schedule coming up. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. I don't have anything else to add. Look how fast we're going. Look how fast we're going.
You guys better be fucking buckled in because
we are buckled in. We'll stay right in that division. Bengals, Browns. Deshaun Watson looked absolutely horrible again. He hasn't played in 2 years. It is what it is. Let's see.
I think he's going to come back into form. I'm not too worried about him.
I mean, he hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
He hasn't played in 2 years.
He's got a decent group of weapons over there. I think he'll be okay.
He'll come around. I mean, you don't lose that talent.
Nick Chubb falling off the face of the earth hasn't helped anything either.
I mean, Nick Chubb was 14 carries, 34 yards. But I mean, at this point, you're kind of like, hey, we're going to stop the run. If this guy who hasn't played in 2 years beats us, he beats us. I mean,
but that's been the game plan ever since Chubb's been in Cleveland, and he's managed to figure it out.
Right? No, that's a fair point. Cleveland's offensive line's pretty good. The Bengals, who seemingly had everybody injured. I mean, Mixon came back, but I mean, no Higgins, no Boyd. They still had Jamar Chase though.
Yeah.
Luckily, he went off 10 catches, 119 yards, touchdown. So, Joey B. Let's talk about Joey Burr real quick. So he's right now third MVP for betting Vegas odds. I think he's plus 600.
Okay.
ESPN,
that might be a fucking steal,
right? ESPN was on today saying that Joey Burrow has surpassed. He is the number one quarterback. We talked about it last week that we both liked him. Is he the best quarterback in the league? Because once again, he started off slow, but he had a marvelous game. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Jalen Hurts is playing incredible. Patrick Mahomes is playing incredible. Tua's crashed off. We'll talk about him in a second. But right now,
the only person I might like more than him is a healthy Josh Allen.
Maybe. If the Bengals, the Bengals are only one game out of the number one seed. That's going to be a tight race. But
yeah,
not only they're one game out of the number one seed, but they are also not leading their division. I mean, they've won 5 in a row. I mean, with the horrible start they had.
Yep.
Love Joey Burrow. We're big Joey Burrow fans here.
Yep.
Let's just keep it rolling because I really don't know what else there is to say about that. Detroit, Minnesota.
Yeah, a game that I think shocked both of us.
Well, I think you and I were talking about it, and I think we talked about it last podcast. When the Vegas odds came out, Detroit was favored, and we kind of were like,
they were favored at kickoff.
We were like, interesting, right? And then it's like the bets come in. Figured it would swing the other way. Lions favored at kickoff. Now, the last 5 games now, Vikings,
remember when you wanted that guy fired, by the way?
Yeah. I mean, but
I had to bring it up. You wanted Dan Campbell fired.
I mean, they're still 6-7 though.
Campbell fired.
They're still not a good team. I don't know. Is this more about the Lions or is this more about the Vikings?
Well, the Vikings defense has been hot garbage.
So the Vikings defense in the last 5 road games have given up 400 plus yards a game.
They've given up 400 plus yards a game for the season.
Insane. And again, we've talked about
There's 5 teams that have made the playoffs, I believe, or no, that have had winning records or something along the lines while giving up 400 plus yards on defense.
And they're going to be one of them.
It was one of the Patriots teams, like the 2018 Chiefs, 2011 Packers, somebody else, and the Vikings.
And a weird stat, point differential, NFC North, Detroit +2, every other team in that division is negative, including the Vikings. A lot of it was that giant.
I don't. Yeah, but that's been kind of telling, no? Because you've been winning close. Like that's all you've been doing. You've been getting by.
But is this so? Do you think this game's more about? So now, I mean, I will have to say, they gave up that long touchdown to Jameson Williams. All of a sudden, you look at the weapons that Detroit has.
Yeah.
They are loaded. So you have DJ Chark, St. Brown, Jameson Williams.
DJ Chark has been one of my favorite receivers since he's come into the league.
Right, and then in the backfield, I still think they're protecting Swift. You got Swift and Jamal Williams. The offensive line is absolutely loaded. I mean, I just the thing.
Goff is more than a capable quarterback. He's getting paid a ton more money than he should, but he's a capable quarterback.
Yeah, and I don't know because the players clearly love Dan Campbell. I just don't know if if they lose their offensive coordinator, which they probably will. I don't know. Should they be better? You look at their team. Shouldn't they be better? I mean, I guess their defense is really bad. I don't know. I didn't want them fired. Well, I wanted them fired if they didn't improve by the end of the year, and
fair.
They have gotten better. But yeah, we're definitely worried about the Vikings. But we've been worried about the Vikings. I really don't know what else there is to say about that particularly because
I need double OT here, by the way. Just a hot take. I need double. I need double
I see
OT.
they're still going.
I need double OT. But continue.
But I got both of us are worried about the Vikings, but we never really haven't been big fans of the Vikings. Like they kept winning, but they were winning close games. They probably shouldn't have won.
And I still don't have faith in Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
I don't know. There's just something.
I have almost zero faith in Kirk Cousins. Actually, almost.
I guess we could go to the almost big upset of the week, Dallas-Houston.
Yeah.
Houston, I think, tried to lose that game on purpose.
Did somebody not tell Dameon Pierce that, though?
He got hurt. He might be out for the season.
I know, but...
He had 22 carries, 78 yards, touchdown. But no, I was like, they got the interception. They were up 3 points, got the interception at the 8-yard line, kicked the field goal. Run the ball, kick the field goal. They opted to go for it. I thought a brilliant move by McCarthy, your boy. Steele goes down, the Cowboys' right tackle. In the fourth quarter goes down. In the series, they have, I think the guy's name was Josh Ball, whatever it was. Comes in, plays the series, gives up a sack and a quarterback hit. He's like, you know what? Jason Peters, you've played 18 years, all left tackle. We're going to stick you in at right tackle. Cowboys go down 98 yards.
Well, it doesn't matter. Jason Peters has been one of the best linemen
for a long time.
For his entire career in the NFL, he's been one of the best. I don't know why the fact that he's not starting is baffling to me.
Are we worried about the Cowboys? This is a couple weeks in a row now.
Yeah,
they have struggled, and I've been a big down Cowboys.
A little scary, right?
I don't want to say a Cowboys fan because I hate the Cowboys, but I have been a prompt believer in the Cowboys. I guess they're winning the games that should count, but like the Giants game was closer than I thought than it should have been. They did blow up the Vikings. The Colts game was really close to the fourth quarter, where at halftime you're like, oh man, this could be a game.
Yeah.
Well, are we worried about the Cowboys? I mean, they have won 4 in a row. The last loss they had was the Packers, and that was an extraordinarily close game. And then I guess they've really won 6 out of the last 7.
Something I will tell you is I saw a headline today that said, is Dak playing too aggressively?
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's throwing a lot of interceptions.
Absolutely is.
He's very explosive offense when he's doing this, but he's throwing a lot of interceptions.
Again, and that was kind of, I guess, back when I was defending Cooper Rush, he wasn't turning the ball over. He was being very safe. They were moving it down the field. Also, too, Micah Parsons was quiet in this game. Mm-hmm. I watched a lot of. He was quiet.
Was he lined up on Tunsil the whole game though?
Again, he was lined up on Tunsil, who is an absolute mammoth at left tackle. So
have fun.
But I mean, maybe that's if you got a good left tackle, does that mean the Cowboys are done?
Well, they don't really have anybody else on that D line,
right?
Really. I mean, Marcus Lawrence, but he's hurt. Is he not hurt? I thought he was hurt. Maybe not.
I don't know.
I know, right? I don't particularly like him though. Anyways,
who's that?
Lawrence. Yeah, he had one good season. He got paid.
Lawrence has been playing. He's currently at 6 sacks.
Partler's dead.
Parlay's done. Sorry, buddy.
Parlay's dead.
But no, I just throwing it out there, wondering if we're worried about the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I still think, have a pretty somewhat easy schedule on the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to catch. I mean, they got.
They're not
actually, you know what? They got Jaguars, Eagles, Titans, Commanders. Those are all losable games, I would say. Titans, maybe, but
Titans are
it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Unless you have anything else. The Eagles, we still like the Eagles, right?
No, of course.
Buffalo and the Jets. That was a wonky game. I watched all of that game. All of that game with intent because we know a lot of Jets fans, a lot of Bills fans. Man, the Jets couldn't score. They could not move the ball. Sauce Gardner, is he the best corner in the league? Has he passed Ramsey? Watching him on Diggs,
he's incredible.
I mean, Diggs ends up with 3 catches, 37 yards. Diggs talked a lot of shit to Reed when they played first and said, hey, try without safety help while they put Sauce Gardner out there. A lot of one-on-one matchups. Yep. And boy, did that man struggle. Is Sauce Island a thing? I mean, we know it's a thing, but is he the best corner in the league? I think we have to consider that.
Yeah, he's very easily top 3, top 5 without question.
I mean, it's like, what, him or Ramsey, right? I mean...
Surtain's probably in that conversation.
But I mean, we're taking Sauce over Surtain, right? We're taking him over J.C. Horn from Carolina, right? I mean,
I do like him a lot, though.
I mean, all those guys have been playing absolutely fantastic.
I think Jai Alexander should still be in the discussion for that. I think Joe Barry's a fucking idiot. So I think that's what is hindering him this year because you see when that guy plays press coverage, he is disgusting.
Oh yeah, that's
now we're just playing a ton of zone. So
that's what he's known for.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Alexander, Pro Football Focus has him pretty high. I mean, not in Gardner's league, but for this year, this year, we both like Alexander. I think he's absolutely fantastic. But I mean, I think. I could be wrong, but looking at it real quick, it looks like Gardner's number 1, Pro Football Focus. I mean, that's just watching. The Bills won, but man, the Jets could not do.
Mike
anything. White
is
a tough. Yeah, gotta give it to him. That guy took a beating, and he kept coming back.
It was like a buried alive match, and every time he was about to get buried, Undertaker.
He would do the Undertaker sit up, right? He'd be like, "Yep." Still here. So, Zach, you're still not getting dressed, buddy. Put your winter hat back on.
He looked miserable, by the way.
Absolutely miserable. So, do you know what? And it's actually wild, too. So, when watching the game, they pulled up the stats. Zach Wilson was 5-2 as a starter.
Wild,
right? I mean, his numbers were horrible. 5-2 as a starter.
He wasn't the issue, though.
He wasn't. Yeah. Wow. But, yeah. Yeah. Depending on who you ask, right? If you ask him, definitely not the issue.
Yep.
So the game, one of the fantastic games that we want to get to, wasn't really a fantastic game, but I caught the tail end of this game. The Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely smashed the Titans.
Yeah.
So the Titans were at one point first place. They are now. I mean, they're still first place. But they were first place, and we were like, hey, you know what? But we also called them the Giants of the AFC South. You watch them play, you're like, they're going to win games because they play good defense, and they're going to win games because they can run the ball. Well, I don't think they're playing good defense anymore.
No, it doesn't appear that way.
And I don't.
Ever since that Packers game, it seems like they don't know how to play defense anymore.
Right? And it's just... You watch him play, and I mean, Derrick Henry had 17 carries, 121 yards.
What do you want the guy to do? What else can he do?
If you don't give this guy 40 carries a game, you're going to lose. That can't be your strategy. It just can't be. I don't know. They threw the ball 38 times. Ran the ball 20 times.
I did not know that they threw the ball 38 times.
38
That's
times.
A lot of times we've been putting the ball in Ryan Tannehill's hands.
Now, the one thing that I wanted to get into this game...
That's a lot. Wow, I didn't know that.
So we both were kind of with the Titans, I feel like, and it's their beginning to go where we thought they were going to go.
Yep.
They'll still win the division because the rest of that division is absolutely horrible. I mean,
unless the Jags really do catch some fire here.
The Jags are 2 games back. I'm going to pull up their schedule real quick, but I think the thing that I wanted to talk about, and I guess I've only been kind of half paying attention. So Jaguars got Cowboys, Jets, Texans, Titans. Oof. I mean, if it comes down to that last game, Titans could be in trouble.
Wow.
Titans could be in trouble. I mean,
that's not a great Cowboys Jets is not great.
It's not great. I mean, if they're probably going to lose the Cowboys, we'll see what happens there. But if they can beat the Cowboys,
and if they go 3-1 over that stretch,
and also too, the Titans have to also play the Cowboys in their Final Four.
If the Jags can go 3-1 in that stretch, watch out.
So if they go 3-1, then the Titans got to go 1-3, basically, and it helps that they play each other at the end of the year. So.
Well, no, because if they go 1-3, then it'd be tiebreaker, and they'll have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, tiebreaker's Jags. So, I guess they got to lose to the Chargers, right? Titans are at Chargers this week. Got to lose to them for them to have a shot.
Yep.
But I guess why I really want to get into this game is Trevor Lawrence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolute mammoth of a game. 368 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Since week 9, ESPN. First, since week 9, he has got a 91 out of 100 passing grade on Pro Football Focus, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 84.3 adjusted completion percentage, average time to throw 2.41 seconds, which is the 3rd fastest across the league.
Mm-hmm.
Has he arrived?
What?
It's over the course. It's only 4 games, but my lord,
I was never really worried about him because that kid had so much pure talent. Obviously, the Urban Meyer experience, we saw what happened.
Oh, that was horrible.
That. I think that actually set him back.
Yeah.
Other than help him.
Yeah.
And now I think you're understanding what that guy can actually do.
So, like the last 4 weeks, Pro Football Focus has the highest graded quarterback. If you look at and they have this great chart, right? And it's quarterbacks with 6.5 yards average, not 6.5, but it's basically a passer rating scale, adjusted net yards per attempt. So that's behind the line of scrimmage, going forward, whatever.
Okay.
So Trevor Lawrence is now 17th all time for quarterbacks under the age of 23. Now, on this list, there's a few on there that don't belong. There's Dan Marino, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Goff, Mariota, Peyton Manning, Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Josh Freeman, Herbert, Mayfield, Cam Newton.
Okay.
So, he is putting up unbelievable. So, he's 17th. So, they basically are saying he is the 17th best quarterback that's ever walked under the age of 23. And I think that's very telling considering, like you said, there you have the Urban Meyer, worst coach in history. And there's a couple guys that shouldn't really be on this list. I mean, Freeman, whatever. Yeah. That doesn't really matter, but I mean, like they have Dante Culpepper on there, and that's because he's allowing it to Randy Moss.
Yeah.
So you can already make the argument that in his second season, he is one of the best 23-year-olds ever to play football, and Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
I mean
Zay Jones,
absolutely. So that's really why I wanted to get
Christian
into
Kirk.
It. And your boy Christian Kirk.
That's his weapons right
Jamal
now.
Agnew, like Marvin Jones Jr. Isn't he like 46 years old? Like he's still rolling.
He's got to be Brady's age at this point.
I think this is they've like Pro Football Focus, go to it, read the article, and you start looking at these numbers, and you're like, holy shit, this is what everybody thought this guy was going to be. And he may have arrived. But yeah, that was
enter Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence has entered the chat, right?
He entered stage right.
He is here. But yeah, that was just, I just wanted to take time to appreciate the absolute masterful performance.
Loved watching him at Clemson. I'm excited to see what he will do going forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll go to another great quarterback on that list, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
They went 27-0 on the Broncos. Broncos came back.
Without
Russ Willie.
Russ
Willie brought him back. Then he got hurt. That was a wild game.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, boy, I hope he doesn't play next week. I mean, maybe he will, but I hope he doesn't play next week. Mahomes, incredible. That no-look pass, I don't know if we want to talk about it, but that was nuts to McKinnon. If you haven't seen it, look it up. Just doesn't look, flips it over. The guy takes it however many, 56 yards or whatever it was. But yeah, no, I mean, Jerry Jeudy had a huge game too.
The Chiefs' defense isn't very good, though. No. They were playing exceptionally well of late, which is why they were doing as well as they were, but that defense worries me.
I mean, I feel like that's been Kansas City for how many years now? It seems like since they've gotten Mahomes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what else really to add besides that, so we'll keep moving.
Yep.
Keep moving. We'll go to 49ers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brock Purdy, what the hell happened there? Mr. Irrelevant beats Mr. GOAT.
That Tampa Bay offensive line is atrocious.
After at the right side you got worse, the rest of that side, holy shit, it is bad. Brady and the other thing
Would they average like half a yard per carry on the ground?
So Rashad White and Fournette, 3.8, 3.2 yards per carry. Their long was 9 yards. The second longest was 8 yards, and they lost a fumble.
Yep.
Yeah.
That offense just looks discombobulated. I'm starting to believe that Byron Leftwich stinks. You have Chris Evans. Okay. If we're going to go that route, you have Chris Evans and Mike Godwin.
Right, yeah.
But two of the best receivers in football, and you get nothing from them. You can't do anything to get them open.
I deal with the last 2 years for Tampa Bay. When they win the Super Bowl, they went pretty deep last year. They had one of the best offensive lines in football. When you have that good of an offensive line, you run the ball. You can run the ball first down. You're going to get 3, 4, 5 yards. You're 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6. We talk about all the time. In the same retrospect, if you can hold on to the ball for 3.5 seconds, all of a sudden your receivers are running route combinations. They can run deep ones. They can run medium. When you don't have time to throw the ball, and then you can't run the ball, when you can't do either, if you don't have Tom Brady back there, these guys are there's a 3-win team. Like Tom Brady,
I think it's generous.
I mean, Tom Brady is right now at 16 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, first in passing attempts, which is nuts. Mm-hmm. He's just not turning the ball over he just can't. I mean. He didn't play great against the 49ers. I watched the first half of it, then I shut it off because I'm like, there's no point in watching it.
Yeah, I watched the first half. And it was... that defense...
I was flipping between that and the Carolina game, and it's just... They couldn't do anything, and then we saw...
And then there was nothing they could do to stop the 49ers offense.
Well,
not a single thing.
We talked about it when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played Carolina. Carolina just Donta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard ran wild all over them. They could not stop them. And all of a sudden, you're like, wow, that's not good. And the 49ers... What happened to
Vita Vea? Right? Is he not any good anymore?
I'm going to see what he's graded, but I know we looked it up this year, and it was not very high.
He wasn't... He did get injured at some point in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So right now, he's listed as below average ESPN, or not ESPN, Pro Football Focus. They're giving him a 61 grade on the year. But if you're running a 3-4 and he's your guy in the middle and he's getting pushed around, I mean, Christian McCaffrey had 14 carries, 119 yards. Jordan Mason had 11 carries, 56 yards. I mean, that's 8.5 and 5.1 yards per carry. Yeah. Deebo Samuel, before he got hurt, he was at 4 carries, 21 yards. So, I mean, they're ripping off, on average, 5 yards a carry. And then, I mean, Brock Purdy didn't do anything bad.
It wasn't anything special, though.
He's throwing screen passes. He had a couple longer passes than he had last week.
The nice throw to Christian McCaffrey, great throw. Yeah. But he's going to do enough. I think he's going to do enough with those weapons that team has. But it was nothing that was nothing to really write home about. Honestly,
it's going to be interesting to see when teams are. So again, the 49ers offensive line is very good. Mm-hmm. And their defense is the best defense in the league. Yep. I think we both agree on that. Yep. You're going to win a lot of games if you have a good offensive line and the best defense. And then, oh, by the way, here's Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey.
And George Kittle.
George Kittle. I mean, all of a sudden you have
Kyle Juszczyk, super underrated on that team.
But I mean, and you have we've talked about this. You have McCaffrey, Samuel. I mean, unless Mason's in there, you don't know where they're going to line up. Debo lines up, and the running back Christian McCaffrey split out wide. Sometimes it's 5 wide. Sometimes they're both in the backfield.
Kittle ends up in the backfield.
Sometimes Kittle's in the back. Like they have so many options on offense. Man, they're looking real good. But we talked about at the beginning of the season. You look at that roster, we're like, man, only if Trey Lance was good. And now we're on Brock Purdy riding the ship. So,
Mitchell's gonna be coming back at some point.
I'll tell you what, NFC.
Watch out.
NFC, I think it's clear the 3 best teams are Dallas, Eagles, the 49ers, and definitely the 49ers and Eagles are super hot right now.
Yep.
But what a segue this is going to be. With Tampa Bay's loss, they are now only 1 game ahead of Carolina Panthers. Good God, watching that game, so I watched Carolina, Seattle, a Panthers fan, had to watch it. One, what the hell happened to Geno Smith this game?
What happened in the last 2-3 weeks?
Right? That was our top 10 quarterback we said a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yikes.
But also, too, the Carolina, they went up. Geno Smith threw the interception early that went down, but it's just Carolina is like, okay. ESPN, Pro Football Focus both have them rated number 1 run blocking offensive line in football.
Oh.
You know they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
They have to run the ball. That's the only way they have a chance at winning. I mean, all of a sudden you have a 2nd-round pick, a 1st-round pick, a top-tier guard that they signed off a Super Bowl team, a 3rd-round pick at left guard, and they stole Bozeman, the center, from the Ravens. The Carolinas invested all of their money in the offensive line, and it is working out. Carolina 1 game out of the playoffs. I don't know how to feel about this, and we could talk about. And all of a sudden, this was a 3-quarterback draft. They are now out of the top 3.
Mm-hmm. I'd be a little worried.
Are we worried? As a fan, I always want Carolina to win. I don't care. But now it's Sam Darnold's not the guy. Watching him play, it was basically hey, throw swing pass. I mean, I don't even know. I'm gonna cheat here and quick to see what his longest pass was. 17 yards, and it was to Terrence Marshall Jr. had the 18-yard catch where he caught it with his legs.
Oh, yeah.
That was the longest pass of Carolina's day. It's just all short yard pass. Swings
That's a lot.
Swings to Chanel on the side. They're just basically saying, hey, we're going to run the ball. I mean, they ran the ball, let me see how many times, 35, 44 times, and they passed it 24. So you know what they're going to do. Their defense is pretty solid. I don't know. Worried about Seattle, but now I don't think Seattle's a playoff team.
They don't even have a shot at this point, I don't think.
I think, it depends.
Yeah, but that defense is now playing like we expected that defense to play.
Yeah.
And it's getting ugly quick.
Well, let's see. Their playoffs, so they're basically going to be fighting with the Giants and the
Commanders, probably.
Commanders, Giants. So right now, Seattle is while the Commanders and Giants are 7-5-1, Seattle 7-6. But they got to be careful. Detroit 6-7.
Yeah.
Your Green Bay Packers are 2 games behind with 4 games left.
Sniffing
Still around. And then it'll be interesting
if they went out, they have a 48% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think Seattle starting to sour on Seattle a little bit.
Yeah. Still stole the trade. Whatever. They'll be fine at some point.
They'll be fine.
Because Pete Carroll's
and so right on the outskirts of the playoffs, the Chargers, who that game was a weird game.
Yeah.
Tua started off 3 out of 15. So once Pro Football Focus's best rated passer.
Have I not been saying it?
He completed only 2 passes over 10. You've been saying it. So they still have him rated a top 5 quarterback.
Goodbye.
But he's got 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3,000 yards. So he's 5th in touchdowns. It's just been a weird year for football. It's been a weird year. Without Tyreek Hill, what do you think of Tua?
That Chargers defense stinks too.
Right? And they could not. I mean, one was that weird fumble play where Tyreek Hill runs at 70 yards or whatever it was. It wasn't even. So, without Tyreek Hill, man, I don't know. Like that,
and you still got weapons over there. And what are you doing?
I don't want to say basically, but they scored 3 points without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Not saying it's football. That's how it works sometimes, but
you got Jalen Waddle, you got Gesicki, you got Jeff Wilson, and you get 3 points without Tyreek Hill.
2 out of 28. 2 out of 20, or 10 out of 28.
Wow.
5.2 yards, 145 yards, and I think 81 was the Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
One was that 60-yard pass where he scored the touchdown on.
Be worried. Be worried.
Worried. I don't know. I think the Dolphins...
I was expecting it to be a barn burner.
Right? And that was a rough game. That was a boring game to watch because it was just they couldn't. I actually thought I saw NFL memes. I don't know if you followed that page. It was great.
No, I don't.
It was great. They put a graphic out and it's like the Miami Dolphins call plays like they have Justin Herbert as quarterback. It's like the Chargers call plays like they got Tua at quarterback. It was just weird. That was just such a weird game because Tua's just dropping back and launching these balls and they're just. Not even close. He's behind guys. Like
per receiver sources, though, he's the most accurate quarterback in football.
I mean, you look at his stats, and they're real good.
Yeah, but what's his average distance of throw? I would love for somebody to tell me that.
I know it's somewhere here. I won't look it up, but I'll have it ready for next game. I mean, he's averaging 8.7 yards a throw per completion.
Is that air time?
Right, yeah, I'd have to look it up. I know they have it on here, and I mean, I'd have to look it up. It'll probably take a while, so we'll skip it. But we'll have that for next week to see what it is. But yeah, we're a little worried about the Dolphins. I mean, the Chargers are one of the worst.
The defense still stinks,
right? And then also, and we're gonna finish up with that horrible Monday night game. I mean, rip Kyler Murray. Feel bad for him. That was tough. Like he went down and. I think everybody knew he tore his ACL, like untouched, running, scrambling, dropped it.
That was,
yeah.
As much as I think he stinks as a quarterback, he never was.
No, that was hard to watch. That's just. I was like, I think what makes it worse, and I don't know if there's anything that does make it better, but like when you see a guy make a cut like that and he just drops, like yeah, he's done. Like like there was no hope. Like you saw that happen, and you're like, yep, he's done. I feel bad for him,
Judon's Judon's the one calling the trainers over. Like,
yeah,
I want to know what the trainers are doing that they don't see that. Go, no, he'll get up.
You know what's weird too. Like
there's more we could talk about in that game too, by the way. But keep going.
You can get into it, but that just reminded me too. Like when Russell Wilson got his head driven into the ground, and like he was down, and then all the players are looking around, and then they start waving it in. It's like, what were these trainers looking at?
Yeah,
like he's laying down there, not moving. Like what are you doing? Like. I don't know. You could tell when his head hit the ground. You're like, oh, that didn't look good. I hope he moves. And he didn't move. And then he tried to pick his head up. It's like a quarter inch off the ground. It goes back down, and it's like somebody like where are they paying attention? What do you want to go back to for the New England game?
Devontae Parker.
Oh yeah,
that's a whole thing though. Too.
That's an investigation, right? So this is as we're recording this. This is late into Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, if you will. We had
full investigation on that.
Players,
who was it? It was who was the receiver that was it? Kendrick Bourne? I think it was Kendrick Bourne who called for the refs to get him out of the game, and Parker said after the game that he was thankful that Bourne did that, and then ripped the refs and.
I think it was Nelson Aguilar. But it doesn't matter regardless.
He then rips the officiating and rips the people upstairs looking at all this stuff. And justifiably so, honestly.
And I think, too, that another important part of this, right, is this morning, Devontae Parker called up the NFL and called up the referees. And was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? I was clearly fucked up. What are we doing? I think this is the first time where a player that I can remember, I'm trying to think of back where the player was like, hey, you know what? I didn't know where the hell I was. Stop the game, like look out for my safety. And
it had to be a teammate that had to do it.
It had to be a teammate that had to do it. And I just think this is going to be, I think this is a first step in a positive direction where the team, clearly he didn't know where he was. And the teammates are like, hey, get this guy out of here.
Well,
It'll be interesting what the NFL does because Players Association now is all over it, but it's like they weren't over it until Parker said something this morning.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Well, I am a pretty firm believer at this point in thinking that the NFLPA has no concern over player health. If they did, there'd be grass fields everywhere.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Case closed.
Case closed. And I don't think there's a single NFL player that hasn't been complaining about the turf. I mean, Beckham gets hurt in the Super Bowl last year on the turf.
There is not any single player that I've heard come out and say, "Oh no, I like the turf better."
Right. Yeah. They
retired, ex-player, current player, it doesn't matter.
They don't give a shit.
No, and owners don't give a shit. The NFLPA doesn't give a shit because if the NFLPA gave a damn about any of it, they would make it mandatory that these grass fields get put in.
Right, absolutely.
If Glensdale, Arizona can have a grass field
and then anybody
in a dome,
yeah.
Anybody in football can have a grass field. If Green Bay, Wisconsin can have a grass field, anybody in football can have a grass field.
Absolutely anybody can do it. Yeah, no, and I think that's important. We'll see what happens with this investigation, but I feel like this has been an all-year thing where we're just like, hey, what's going on? I mean, we have the Dolphins. We've had a lot of situations this season where it's just kind of like, the hell's going on? I think this is a very big step where Parker comes out this morning and says,
absolutely. Good for him.
He's like, thank you for looking out for me because obviously I couldn't look out for myself. Thank you. He acknowledged it. Whether or not owners and coaches will like that, that's a whole other story. But but yeah, I mean, I think that's the we're in the right direction. I think we're officially in the right direction.
It more feels like it now. But I don't know. It's baffling to me. They care so much about player safety, so they add another game to the season. They care so much about player safety.
That you would notice about. Absolutely, yeah.
But I've been saying it too. I think these new helmets gotta stink, right? Because I have not seen this many concussions in an NFL season.
I mean, it's just...
I understand it's under a microscope right now. It's in the spotlight. It's getting talked about so much. But the amount of concussions that... You have hits that don't even look like they're...
If you asked me before the season started, I would tell you that when they give you the helmets, right? They have the new helmets and they're supposed to be harder than whatever and supposed to protect you or whatever. But then, that Tua concussion... That he got pushed and he kind of just stumbled backwards and he hit his head and you were kind of like, until he got up and stumbled and fell down, no, I don't think anybody would have said, oh man, that was a hard hit or whatever. Like nobody really thought anything of it. And it's just, maybe there's got to be something. Maybe the helmets are too hard at this point where you're snapping your head back and it's bouncing you around. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't think anybody can claim they're a doctor on our little podcast here.
Oh, but I've got my PhD.
But
please.
I mean,
don't disrespect me like
if Tua stumbles backwards, falls down, his head hits the turf or the grass, and his brains are scrambled.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Like, what is the point of the helmet then at that point? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but that is something to consider. I'm sure they're going to look into it in the off season.
They have to.
They have to. Have to.
And just another thing, baseball catchers. They've got the springs and everything on the front of the mask too. Yeah. They're getting hit in the head with fastballs at some point, off the tip of the bat, and just you don't you just don't. I understand the back of the head is obviously the softer spot, and I understand all that, but these guys are getting hit in the head with fucking baseballs.
There has
that are coming in at 100 miles an hour.
I mean,
what are we doing?
It's just so weird now.
It just doesn't seem like they're doing as much as they can do.
The Russell Wilson one, when he went down, I don't know. It looked bad, but it didn't look horrific. He kind of landed, and you're like, oh man, he landed hard. Hey, let's see how he's doing. But he was out. Yeah. The lights were out. It wasn't like, oh man, I got shaken up a little bit. It was the lights were off immediely. I mean, you kind of knew it, but I mean, I don't remember it being that horrible. No. So maybe the helmets they gotta.
I've seen one that usually comes to my mind is I've seen Devontae Adams get absolutely abused over the middle of the field. Yeah. Mouth guard comes out of his mouth and he gets up, picks up the mouth guard, puts it back in, talks some shit because he caught the pass, then gets back into the huddle.
He's ready to go.
So And these are like across the middle of the field, safety's fucking eating him. I don't know. These hits just don't seem like they should be hits that are doing this to people.
I don't know. It's I guess we'll see what happens. I guess one real quick thing that I forgot: Brady signing the interception ball. That was kind of badass.
Yeah.
That was badass, right?
Yeah, that was incredible.
Fuck. He was like, whatever. Yeah, here you go, kid. Thank you. They were both really cool about it. I thought that was a good sportsmanship. Really cool. Let's go to baseball.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good time for baseball.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we talked about it. Aaron Judge, I think it was the night before, they said he might go to the Giants, then they retracted it. Signs the next morning with the Yankees, 9-year, $360 million. Ton of money, bet on himself. Good for him. Good for New York for keeping him. He was the best player in baseball.
How stupid does Hal feel at this point for not just signing him to begin with?
I mean, what do you want? 7 years? He wanted like 230, right? Like they were arguing over $20 million and ended up costing the Yankees an extra 2 years and an extra $150 million.
Hell, what are you doing?
Good on Judge. But you know what? I heard the bottom line of that was Hal called up Judge and was like, "Do you want to be a Yankee?" And Judge was like, "Yep."
But we got to get more years onto this.
Yep, let's figure it out. And I think it was great on both parts. I think it was a great deal. Judge is going to be 39 the time he's done with this deal. I know we're going to get a lot more into this because a lot has signed in this week. Mm-hmm. So we'll start with, I'm going to go in order.
Okay.
Quintana to the Mets, 2 years, $26 million. You like it or you don't like it? You're the Mets fan.
I mean,
he's gonna be the number 3. He had a good season last year.
He hasn't been that good.
He hasn't been that
in
good in his career. Last year he had a very good year.
36, 34,
yeah.
however old he is. I don't particularly like it. No.
I think the Mets.
If that's what we're banking on, if he was number 4, fine. But we're gonna put him at number 3.
I think the one writing on the wall for the Mets here is they're all in on the next 2 seasons. Their payroll right now is at $330 million. I mean, I think they're like $60 million more than the Yankees, who I think are second. Yeah. Whoever's the second.
Yankees are second.
They were in on Carlos Correa, who signed today. We'll get to that in a second. But the Mets, like you look at their team, is it better than it was a year ago?
No. Straight up tell you, no.
They have spent a lot of money. A lot of money, an absurd amount of money. We could talk about too if there should be a cap in baseball. I mean,
if they want to spend the money.
I mean, it's wild that they have spent $330 million, and they're the 3rd best team in the division, right? Like you look at the other teams that they have signed. Teams
on paper they're the 3rd best team.
Because like the Phillies have absolutely loaded their team this year. The Braves are the Braves.
Yeah. The only place that the Mets have actually gotten better is the bullpen.
Yeah.
Because I love the David Robertson signing.
Well, and I guess we'll just stick with the Mets because this will be easy. So they re-signed Brandon Nimmo. We both have looked into it. If he can stay healthy, we like that deal.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
8-year, $162 million.
I think that's a steal.
We argued with your pumpkin brother, we'll call him, about it. But you look at what his wins above replacement is.
He's only gotten better.
And,
every year.
And you know what? Do you know what I want to talk about too? Because as we were discussing this with your brother, we were looking at playoff teams last year, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of talk. We're talking about whether or not he's a good leadoff hitter or whatever. It doesn't matter. But that was like kind of where we started, and we looked at the playoff teams and what was important. Mm-hmm. And on base percentage was by far. I think it was like 9 out of the top 11 all made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And that was very eye-opening because we were looking into it because we got into a deep heated debate about this, and sometimes the stats don't lie.
Yeah.
You sign your leadoff hitter. He's way above the league average. The Mets were number 2 in on-base percentage. If you get on base, you're probably going to score, and it's going to keep you consistent through a very, 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 very long baseball. Yeah. 162 games.
No, the thing I wanted with Brandon Nimmo, and for whatever reason, like, for example, my brother just thinks he's slow. just because he doesn't steal bases.
No.
That guy covers ground in the outfield.
No, but I also...
He just doesn't steal bases by any means. But when I brought up the stat that Starling Marte the year before had 48 stolen bases, and he had 15 last year with the Mets. In almost the same number of at-bats, same number of hits, everything like that. The Mets just don't run. Right. Bottom line, Mets don't run.
But, and I think, again, when we talk about, we look at the on-base percentage, right?
I'd rather the guy gets on base consistently than maybe gets on base, I don't know, we'll say 10% less and can steal second base.
So,
sorry.
And also, too, the Texas Rangers scored the most runs. They had the most...
Kind of baffling to me.
They did have the most stolen bases. Or no, I'm sorry. They did. I'm sorry. They were 12th in runs. I screwed up. But they had the most stolen bases, right?
Okay.
They weren't very good.
No.
I mean,
They struck out a fucking ton.
The Mets were 5th in runs scored. So if you're looking at runs scored, right? I will give you the top 8 teams in Major League Baseball last year.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers 1,
yep.
Yankees 2, Braves 3,
Astros.
Blue Jays 4,
Blue Jays, okay.
Mets 5, tied with 5 with the Cardinals. 7 was the Phillies, 8 was the Astros.
Okay.
Getting on base is what matters. I don't want to say stolen bases don't matter, because if you look at stolen bases for the year, the Mets were pretty low down there. The Blue Jays were pretty low down there, and that was the 4th and 5th most runs in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
Boston Red Sox were 9th in runs scored, and I think they only had 52 stolen bases all year.
Yeah. It's probably somewhere around where the Mets numbers was, honestly.
Mets, I think, were 62, somewhere around there.
Exactly.
I think like I said, we've looked at this, and we look at the on-base percentage. And I mean, when you go to on-base percentage, the teams that get added to the list at the top, Padres, the Guardians, teams that made the playoffs. So, yeah, you don't want guys that can't run, but at the same time,
as long as if you're aggressive on the base paths and you can go first to third on a single, that's what matters.
All I can think of was the famous South Park episode where step 3 was question mark and then step 4 was profits.
Yeah.
Well, the step 1 shouldn't be question mark. Step 1 is getting on base in baseball, and if you get on base, Brandon Nimmo got on place, played center field. We looked up his defensive stat. He was average, slightly above average defensive center fielder. So maybe later on in his career, you can move him to a corner outfield spot.
If you look at his defensive WAR, like probably throughout his career,
he's
come a long way.
That's pretty good.
He's come a long way. And then also, he never was that good of a fielder.
And then the other big signing because Senga,
yeah.
Senga, right?
Yeah, Sega.
So Sega Genesis. Because the Mets also too lost Chris Bassett, who he was pretty good last year. He was 28th in ERA for starting pitchers.
Yeah, he was our most consistent pitcher.
Right, so you lost him, so you basically are swapping him for Senga. Well, Senga Genesis.
Yeah.
But no, so I read about 4 or 5 scouting reports. I am not a scout. I do not watch Japanese baseball. I couldn't tell you anything about this guy until I knew they said he was going to get a lot of money.
Yep.
So it looks like this guy has the stuff of a number 2 starter, but he is wildly inaccurate.
Okay.
I think it was ESPN or maybe it was baseball. One of them said that he could be an elite bullpen guy. 5 years, $75 million, and what the Mets are spending, that was kind of nothing. A spit in the ocean. Yeah. But do you know what this kind of reminds me of? What the Mets are doing is you're like, okay, if Scherzer stays healthy, if Verlander plays like he did last year, if Senga finds his command, if Quintana plays like he did last year, that is your whole pitching staff is if.
Yeah.
How many ifs can you start with and make it last over a 162-game season? They missed out on Correa. Are you worried about the Mets?
I am.
I guess we can...
I will be worried about the Mets until I start hearing trumpets, okay?
Right.
Let's leave it that way.
Because, if you're spending this much money, if you don't win a World Series,
in one of these 2 years?
I mean, the Yankees spent absurd money, but they won. That was part of their deal. People hated them because they were winning, and they didn't hate them. I mean, they haven't won in a while now, since 2009, but now it's like you kind of look at the playoffs you kind of look at the teams from last year, and you're like, okay, well, the Dodgers are real good. They're going to be real good again this year.
They got worse though.
They did get worse. They didn't get better, but I mean, they won 111 games. Like, let's say they're 10 games worse. They're still a playoff team, which is mind-boggling. Yeah. San Diego Padres, who also
considerably better.
Their owners are just throwing the money around, right? That's nice. But they signed Xander Bogaerts. They were after Judge. They were after Correa. Like everybody that they were after. And I mean, like they lost Bell. That'll hurt. But now, like, is there a better 1 through 5 than the Padres lineup wise?
No, probably.
I mean, you're looking at what Bogaerts, Tatis, Machado, Soto, Cronenworth, 1 through 5. Like, whew.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a lot.
Holy crap.
That's a lot.
You know, like, their pitching is pretty good, the Padres. It's not great, but like last year, they got hot September. They got real hot.
Rodon's still a free agent.
Rodon's a free agent. Of course, the Padres are in on him, because why wouldn't they be? But the Yankees are in on him. Mets are on. There's a lot of guys that are in on him.
All right, so let's leave it this way. If the Mets were able to get him as well for the pitching staff, I'd be feeling a lot better.
Right, because I mean, that's your, you know,
he's going to be the least if guy.
Well, he would automatically vault. I mean, he would technically be their number 3 starter, but you could rely on him. I mean, you could rely on him for a full season. You'd feel pretty good about it.
If he was two,
what happens if the Mets payroll's $375 million? I mean, that's a conversation that actually might happen, which is bonkers. But you got to look. The Contreras goes to the Cardinals. We'll see where the Brewers end up. The Giants.
Brewers fucking stink.
The Giants were 81-81 last year. They just signed Correa. So not how
the Giants still have a ton of work to do.
Right, and it's not saying that's how it works, but all of a sudden now, if you add 6-7 wins to the Giants, wow, they're a borderline playoff team. And the Mets.
We got a lot of games against the Braves and the Phillies.
A lot of games because the Braves are going to be the Braves, and the Phillies have gotten, as weird as it sounds, have gotten a lot better. I mean, they got Trey Turner.
Bryce Harper won't be back until midseason, though.
But that's going to hurt them a little bit. But it also, again, you replace him with Trey Turner. Not you're replacing him, but, you know.
Exactly.
It's their, oh crap, all of a sudden, now they got another guy. And then, you know how it's going to be, too, is like, the team will find pieces, find ways, and then as it starts to get closer to the season, not saying you could automatically add them back in, but you add them back in, and it's like, holy crap. So, so it'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
The Giants also got Sean Manaea, too, I believe. They signed him.
Oh.
Stole him away 2-year, $25 million from the Padres, so.
Okay. I've always liked him. He was not very good as a Padre, but
he started off on fire for the Padres and he fell off the cliff. But
I've always kind of liked him.
I just think realistically right now, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 really good teams in the National League.
Pitchers Park too in San Francisco.
Pitchers Park. So it's just like it's not a slam. It's crazy that it's not a slam dunk for the Mets, where everybody's getting better around them. And they're kind of just betting very weirdly on weird players. Like I said, we like the Nimmo deal. Mm-hmm. I don't hate the Senga deal. I think it's a perfectly fine deal. Hey, he might be something. Yeah. He might be a bullpen guy. We won't know yet. But I
mean, it's gonna be expensive if he's a bullpen guy. But if he's gonna come out and be lights out, then fuck. What the hell am I gonna care?
I mean, Diaz signed a massive extension.
Yeah, because if you want to put him at 8 and then. You throw fucking...
Right. I mean,
you throw trumpets.
We're going to see what happens, because they're going to start him off as a starter, most likely, unless he comes out a little wonky out of spring training. But, yeah, a lot of question marks for the Mets, who spent a whole lot of money to get to where they are. So, I guess we'll see. What happens. I think that's kind of it, right?
Pretty much.
Do we got anything else? But we had that was 15 minutes of baseball. We did pretty good there.
Yeah. We did pretty good. I think that's...
That's kind of it. Yeah, I guess the only other big thing, if you want to talk about quick, is it seems kind of weird that the Boston Red Sox are just letting their guys go. I mean, I know they got Yoshida, and I know they signed Kenley Jensen, but it seems kind of weird that they let Bogarts go.
Well, I mean, they traded...
Mookie Betts.
They traded Mookie Betts away for a bag of baseballs.
Someone get their boys. What are they doing, right? I don't know what they're doing.
Devers, they can lock Devers up. Have to. If you don't, you may as well say goodbye to that team.
So, all right, well, I guess we're going to call it, right? I mean, it's been an hour.
Yeah.
We did it again. Thank you. Sports Jargon Podcast. Adam Stone.
Josh Burnett.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Oh, God. My legs.